The spotlight's back on the Nexus line, and today we're taking a look at the Google Nexus 5 designed by LG, Google's newest flagship Android device with a stock Android experience, and Android 4.4 KitKat at that. I'm Aaron Baker from PhoneDog.com. Let's unbox this and see how it compares to the other high-end Android smartphones. For techies out there, this might be the most anticipated device of the year. It's the Google Nexus 5, made by LG, marketed as the Google Nexus 5, announced a couple of days ago, and finally in the PhoneDog West offices. Now, this thing brings some nice specifications that not only advance the Nexus line, but bring this thing up into the high-end echelons and make it able to compete with other high-end Android devices on the market. The Galaxy S4, the HTC One, the G2, the One Max, the Note 3, all of those Android devices you know and love, or maybe you don't love them, but still they're high-end Android devices on the market. Let's talk really briefly about tech specs. We're going to dive in just a second and see what comes not only in the box but under the hood as well. But tech specs wise, this thing is packing a 2.26 gigahertz quad-core Snapdragon 800 CPU. It's actually a 2.26 gigahertz CPU, but you'll find in a lot of the marketing materials, they'll market it as a 2.3 gigahertz CPU. They're just rounding up on the CPU clock speed. It's got a 4.95-inch display, also marketed as a 5-inch display, but really a 4.95-inch display. It's 1080p, and it's got 445 ppi. This thing is packing 4G LTE on T-Mobile, Sprint, and AT&T. You've got an 8-megapixel camera with 1080p HD video recording and optical image stabilization, 2 gigabytes of RAM, 2,300 milliamp hour battery, nice blue box as well. And this thing comes in two configurations. One configuration is 16 gigabytes for $349, that's unlocked, and 32 gigabytes for $399, also unlocked. Take a really serious consideration, or consider that pretty heavily when you look to buy, because hey, double the storage space, 50 more bucks. You may think you won't use it, but if you're going to keep this device for 2 years, it's definitely a worthy investment. If you do download music or pictures on a regular basis, get that extra storage if you can, if it's in stock. You can see here Google on the front of the box and a couple of tabs I just pulled off. Here is the Nexus 5 itself in the flesh. Nexus written on the back, LG here. You got the camera on the back. You got your volume rocker over on the left side. Power button, it looks like it's powering up already. Unless that's a sticker, I could be wrong. Nope, that is a sticker. Just messing with you. Power button over here on the side. Micro SIM card slot just below the power button. 3.5 millimeter headphone jack up top. Micro USB charging port and speakers down here at the bottom. But we'll keep diving through and seeing what comes in the box down here. You've got instruction manual, SIM card removal tool, turn it on, para activar manden profesión, something, el botón durante unos segundos. I don't speak French. Safety and warranty down here. And let's see what else comes in the box. You got an LG AC adapter. Say that 3 times fast. LG AC adapter right here, and then a USB cable as well. So a little bit scant in terms of the accessories department, but keeping in mind the price point of this unit, 349 bucks. It's not exactly a price point that's going to accommodate headphones and all those added goodies. Got to save some pennies somewhere, right? Device-wise, 8.59 millimeters thin, 4.8 ounces. So a nice lightweight device here. Camera on the front, as you can see, and then of course the earpiece. I'm going to pull out that Nexus 5 sticker as you saw, and we're going to power it up and take a look and how quickly it boots up and what you get in the box. Android 4.4 here, KitKat pre-installed out of the box, and it's a stock version as you would expect with the Nexus line of KitKat powering up right here. We'll take a look at some of the goodies that come with that, and we'll take a look at it together. I'll let it get through the boot up sequence here so you can take a look, and there is the typical Nexus logo with all the different colors, and it's powering up right now. And then of course we can take a look at the device itself. Actually, I don't want to move it because I know you guys get frustrated. You love to see that startup animation sequence. I'm going to let you see that really quickly while we take a look at some other things. I'm just talking to buy time till this thing starts up, and you can see a really nice looking device. Actually, you know what we'll do? We'll compare it to a couple of different devices. The LG G2 is probably the closest cousin to the Nexus 5, and I just happen to have one on my desk here, and you can see the different look and feel here between these two devices. 5.2-inch display over on the G2, 5-inch display over on the Nexus 4, but again, keep in mind the price point here and what you get out of the box. Unlocked, $349 for 16 gigabytes. 32 again is $399. So a nice value in a lot of ways with 4G LTE, 2 gigabytes of RAM, even at 16 gigabytes of internal storage. You get quad-core Snapdragon 800 CPU. You get Android 4.4. So this is going to appeal to a lot of different people. One, it's obviously going to appeal to the tech nerd. Two, it's going to appeal to the person that, and this kind of falls in the tech nerd category as well, but the tech enthusiast that wants the latest and greatest version of Android. You don't want to wait for Android 4.4. You want KitKat right now. Eating the candy bars isn't doing anything for you. You might want to get the Nexus 5 because it could be the device for you at least until other devices are upgraded to Android 4.4. But like anything else in the market, it's kind of like cars or houses. It's all personal preference. It depends on what you like and what you find to be most valuable. I think some of the software value adds on TouchWiz and Sense 5 make it a greater overall experience, and those various OEMs are working on building out their ecosystem, but still, this could be a nice option for somebody that doesn't care for that or perhaps wants a cheaper device. Maybe you broke your HTC One or your Galaxy S4 and you're looking for a cheap alternative because you don't want to pay full retail and you don't care for the carrier's upgrade processes. This could be a device for you as well. So a lot of different use cases here. Like anything else, it's going to be up to you to decide what is most important. This thing is taking its sweet time to start up. Let's go back and look at the instruction manual because I did see something about starting it up, but I don't want to spend too much time on this. Let's see here. It says start up. And let's take a look at the English one. Press and hold for a few seconds. Looks like it's just doing its initial thing right now. NFC, I should say, on the back as well, as you'd expect. I'm showing you something really interesting here. I'm trying to get through the boot animation and through the startup sequence so we can get into the meat of the device, and I'm immediately downloading a 125.8 megabyte file. Now, the rumor is, at least the news posts have shown, that most of these devices, in a bid to avoid this inventory issues that LG had with the Nexus 4, they tried to ship out the Nexus 5 pretty quickly and shipped it out with some older versions of software. So immediately upon startup, at least on this unit, I am having to download an update. Could be an issue, just wanted to point this out. Could be an issue for the consumer, could be an issue for, depending on the person that's buying. Kind of frustrating to have this within the first 30 seconds of purchasing the device and starting it up. But I'm going to download the update and then we'll get into the meat of the device. Okay, after the longest time, we're finally set up and ready to go in Android 4.4 KitKat on the Nexus 5. And I actually kid you not, I just ate a KitKat in the break room because I had to go to the bathroom because it took so long to start up. But it started up now and I had a KitKat, so I can't complain too much there. Started up. Before I get too far into this, special thanks to our partners at Best Buy Mobile. They give us devices very similar to the Nexus for use in our One Paw Bandit giveaway game, which is our free game on the site at phonedog.com. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working, whether it's a Nexus device when they're available at the carriers, or perhaps the Note 3 or the Galaxy S4, the HTC One, whatever you get, they'll make sure you walk out the door with everything set up. It's part of their walkout working program. But you can see it right here. Android 4.4 running immediately looks different. And I'll point out a couple of things I just noticed right out of the gate in this unboxing. First of all, Hangouts is now the default application for text messages as well, and you can see it down here. You're going to either love that or hate that. Some people, myself included, find Hangouts to be a little bit cumbersome, at least in its current form. So anybody or time will tell, rather, how long it takes to get used to that. But you can see here Android 4.4 running actually very similar to an Oppo device, as you can see in the overall look and feel. Very much, a little bit more minimalist, I should say, here on this device, as you can see with the apps, the icons here. No widgets in the notifications area, in the applications area, rather. You've got your on-screen buttons down here, back, home, and then recent applications. No real changes to recent apps, but you can swipe left to get Google Now, swipe right to get another home screen, and then when you press and hold on the screen, you can see a new animation here with wallpapers, widgets, and settings. So I'll go into settings, for example. You can see Google Now settings, my voice settings, accounts, and privacy, and more. And then to get into the actual phone settings, I'll come over here and go to settings on the device itself. You can see Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, data usage. This hasn't really changed that much. Tap and pay, which we'll talk about in just a bit. And of course, your account, your system, and more, wireless printing, etc. And you can see the home screens here. So I'm going to change the wallpaper right now. We'll take a look at some of the new wallpapers I happen to like. Let's say this one. I'll set the wallpaper to that. I have the button up there at the top, automatically set. And of course, I've got, again, my applications area down here at the bottom. The caller area, let's take a look at that. And you're going to see a tighter integration all around in Android 4.4 between Google services. I talk a lot about, Sense and TouchWiz, Samsung, HTC, LG building out their own ecosystems. You're going to see that to an extent in stock Android as well. So for example, the dialer here, you've got, let's say, 214-555, Stephen Williams there as well. Go ahead and get out of that. See my recent calls and my missed calls, etc. But where you really see this, for example, let's say I want to go to wallpapers and I want to pick my own image. Well, it's going to bring up Google Drive here as one of the defaults. So you're seeing a tighter integration with Google Drive, a tighter integration with Hangouts, where your SMS bring in to Google Hangouts here in addition to your standard Hangouts, so that's something to keep in mind. So you've got that as an option, and again, just a tighter integration all around here. Google Plus integration, Instagram here out of the box as well. You've got Dropbox, and of course my Verizon Mobile on this as well. Oh, I'm sorry, it brought in from a previous heronbaker@gmail.com restore. That's why those Verizon applications are there. Do not get too excited. This is not coming to Verizon, at least anytime soon, but that my Verizon Mobile came from a backup when I put heronbaker@gmail.com back on this device. Let's take a look at the internet browser here as well. We'll take a look at Chrome, and we'll load up phonedog.com so you can see it. phonedog.com. And take a look. 5-inch display here. On-screen buttons do take away a little bit of that, but you can see overall portrait to landscape transition, fast. Everything looks good here. And typing on the keyboard, Android 4.4 keyboard, very similar. A little bit of a different tactile feel, which obviously I can't show you on camera, but a little bit different here. We'll take a look and go into a Hangout, for example. And let's do Stephanie Hammersmith. And we'll go into SMS message and we'll say, hey there, how are you doing today? Thanks for the information. And you can see colors are a little bit different here. Gray for the autocorrect, and of course you can do that as well, the swipe-like functionality if you so desire. But again, bringing it into Hangouts look and feel here, we'll take a look at the notifications bar area as well. You can see my contact information, settings, brightness, my Wi-Fi rather I'm connected to, my battery. And let's take a look at one key feature that I want to see if it's been integrated in to KitKat. We'll go into battery here, for example. And it looks like it has not been. You can see Android here, the new Android logo, or one of the new Android logos display. Let's see what we've got down here. Wireless display, Daydream, brightness, wallpaper, font size, and more. Unfortunately, it looks like there's no ability in KitKat, I may be wrong here, but to set a physical battery percentage indicator, and that drives me absolutely crazy. I do not understand why they can't put a little 73% indicator, or whatever the actual battery meter is, up there in the top. It is not hard. Do not know why KitKat is shipping without that. Again, I'm assuming it doesn't have it. I'll take a closer look and we'll report back in the review. But overall, things seem pretty fast here. This phone has little to no lag. Everything looks really nice. Photos here, a new icon with Google Photos. I'll get started. It can automatically back up my photos and videos to my Google Drive and to my Google Photos account. And of course, my area here with Google Keep, Drive, YouTube, all of the Google products and services right here out of the box on the Nexus 5. So now that our software is installed, it's looking good, sitting pretty, and I can should be able to add some home screens if I so desire by going in. Actually, let's take a look at the widgets. Go in here and take a look at the widgets, and you can see, of course, all these different widgets I can touch. For example, clock. Let's bring that one down to the home screen. Let's see if we can get that sucker centered up a little bit. And then there is my clock, and of course, my current cards from Google now as well. So I can say, for example, okay, Google, and activate Google right away and access my weather. So very similar to OK Google Now, I can bring it up like I can on the Moto X. So really a nice value here, $349 starting price point, Android 4.4 KitKat. Can't wait to explore that and get back to you with the overall benefits, the improvements, the things that aren't so good, all that good stuff on KitKat. And of course, home screens as well. We'll take a closer look at those, take a look at settings also, and see what we can do to make this device even better. And Google Now integration, really nice to have that out of the box. And I can add and change my settings and come down here as well and customize Google Now. I can add sports teams, stocks, places, and everything else and make my Nexus 5 my own. Keep it locked on phonedog.com for more. I'm on Twitter at phonedog_Aaron. Would love to hear from you and see what you think of Google's newest device, the Nexus 5, or at least LG's newest device and Google's newest device, the Nexus 5. I'm on Twitter at phonedog_Aaron, on Facebook at facebook.com/HiAaronBaker. Let me know what you think of this phone. And as always, I'll see you next time.